It, it is exactly 9:52 a.m. Our final interview for the morning, and that is with Basil Manuel, the Executive Director of the National Professional Teachers Organization. And guess what we're talking about? The matric exams. Now, gosh, I don't know if it's just my imagination, but when I kind of cast my mind back to the day when I was at school, I can't seem to remember all the hype and the pressure about matric exams. I hope I'm wrong. Or was I too young to even remember or understand what hype and pressure was all about? I don't know. We'll hear what Basil has to say about it. But let's start off by saying and telling the rest of the country that more than 175,000 Gauteng matriculants to write their finals in one of the largest exam processes in South Africa. Whew, just saying that overwhelms me. Basil Manuel, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you again.
Okay, nice to talk with you. And I can't remember back in the day that there was just this much of pressure and hype around matric exams.
Well, I think over the years the hype has increased. I think you may be right that far more attention is being paid to matric, both good and bad. In that the hype, of course, puts a lot of pressure on our learners, puts a lot of pressure on
Mm,
our teachers, as well as, of course, our parents, because parents feel like they are in matric all over again when their children are writing matric, because it's really pressurized. Schools are pressurized to perform, which is both good and bad. And then, of course, because of that pressure, we see some silly things happening. And that
mm.
is the downside to it. But yes, it is very pressurized and there's a lot of hype around it. And it's squashed in the middle, our children.
Okay. Um, when you look at these figures, for example, at least 175,599 candidates in Gauteng will write this year's matric finals, which are scheduled to start on Wednesday. Over and above that, of those, 132,887 are full-time learners. Then there are also over 42,000 part-time candidates, and this then equates into an increase of 17.55% from last year. So when you look at these type of figures being bandied about, it does mean almost a logistical nightmare as far as the Department of Education is concerned.
It is a huge task. If you just take that a little further, there are 735,000 or almost 736,000 full-time candidates in the country. That's 128,000 more learners than in 2020,
Mm,
which gives you an indication of the scale of the exams. Because remember, these are national exams. They are not only provincial. And for one province, and Gauteng is not our largest province, KZN is, but
mhm.
for Gauteng to have 175,000 learners writing, it just gives you a sense of the true scale of it. And of course, it also gives you a sense of the many things that could go wrong and the many checks and balances that have to be in place to ensure that nothing goes wrong.
Okay, so we know that on board, apart from the learners that are going to sit for the exams, you also have about 30 odd marking centers that have been approved. Over 12,000 markers have been appointed. Then over 2,500 examination assistants who will serve as quality assurers of the marked scripts to ensure that there's no errors. Um, so there is just so much of preparation and so many logistics to put into place. But the other big issue that both parents and learners, and of course the Department of Health, have to contend with is the security arrangements, which year after year after year plays out. Someone's leaked the papers or someone has sold the papers, and that drama seems to have a place you know, in this scenario on an ongoing basis. What's that all about? How is the department going to mitigate security arrangements?
Let me start by saying, honestly, the exam section of the department has done very well over the last how many ever years we've had since 1994. When you look at their record as a department, I think they've done exceedingly well. There have been glitches, and last year was probably the worst. Now, you can't look at it in isolation from the hype that is around the exams and the high stakes that are placed on the exams. So those who are sitting in that very responsible position of having the papers, transporting the papers, printing the papers, securing the papers, and even simply just batching the papers. Those people can be tempted in 1,000 ways because they know people are desperate out there. And that is the real problem. The problem is not the size of the examination. The problem is not the 11,300 writing centers throughout the country. The problem is that you're dealing with people, people from all walks of life, people that are easily tempted. And of course, in a country where we see a lot of people are so easily falling on the side of doing wrong and trying to earn an easy buck. And this is where the great problem lies, that our value chain has a lot of ifs and maybes in. And I can guarantee you that the department, that Lucy has also spoken about this, have done amazing things to ensure the security. But the one thing they can't secure is the people and the intention of people. You hope and pray that everybody will be on board and everybody will have integrity on their side, but that is the one weakness. And because it's a people-centered thing, we always have to make additional arrangements. So yes, very pressurized and very, very open to many possibilities. But that doesn't speak to the amount of effort being put in, because I can assure you that from our checking, from the union side, our various meetings with various people, they have also ensured that we are covering every base. We've ensured that they have covered the weak points in particular. And I want to tell you that we're satisfied knowing the limitations of what can be done.
Okay, it is 10 o'clock. I'm going to ask you one or two more crucial questions and then we have to wrap up. The best piece of advice that you can give to the learners and to the parents as well, knowing that every year without fail, sadly, because of the pressure that when learners don't do well or feel that they haven't done well, we hear about suicides. Not too many, thank God, but you do hear at least one or two suicides this time of the year because a learner was just not well supported or well prepared to sit for the exams.
That is a real tragedy. And one is one too many. And this is why I want to say to parents, your children have had a full school year. No learner in matric has lost a single day. They've done what should have been done. Our teachers have worked extra to catch up for the grade 11 deficits. And now is the time not to apply additional pressure. They are pressurized already, but rather to create a reassuring environment that we are here to support you. Do your best, work as hard as you can, but remember we are here. I believe that sometimes that extra pressure pushes children over the edge. And to the children, I've got to say too, look, you've run the race, you've been there, you've done what you can. Now you are rounding up. Don't try and do more and do the impossible by trying to study through the night, having no sleep. This is not the time for that. You need to be well rested to even perform, knowing everything that you know. If you fall asleep in the exam room, it's of no value. So remember, tomorrow the sun still rises. And sometimes it won't work out. That can't be the end of the world. there is always a time for a second chance. But now we want you to do your best and to remember everything has been done to ensure you can do your best.
Basil Manuel from NAPTOSA, Executive Director, thank you indeed for your wise words and the insight into the prep of matric exams go well. And from the bottom of our hearts, all of us here at Salam Media make lots of dua for the success of each and every matriculant that will be writing this year, inshallah. Your hard work and our duas will help you through this. And that brings us to the end of the show. 3 after 10 o'clock exactly. Thank you to you, Nasri Naidu and Ziad Milazi Boy, for your support and pulling the show together. Till tomorrow morning at the same time. As always, follow the COVID protocols and take care on the roads. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz from me, Julie Ali.
Breaking stereotypes, moving